Hello, everybody, and happy Friday. Thanks so much for tuning in to Tisha Talks Live, where I welcome special guests to join me and talk about just some fun topics. And love this topic for Friday. Just want to say, if you are tuning into this live on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, make sure to drop us a comment, say where you're from, say hello. And if you have any questions during this broadcast, make sure that you ask us so we can address those live with you. But I want to give a big special shout out to my special guest today. I am such a big fan of the Go Giver book series, and I'm so just excited that I am now can actually call these gentlemen my friends, John David Mann and Bob Berg. And then now I have the pleasure of interviewing his wife, John David's wife, Anna Gabriel Mann. And today they have a book coming out called The Go Giver Marriage. So if you've been a big fan of the Go Giver series, now is one to, dive into this book and learn more about their secrets to a lasting, loving marriage. So welcome, John David Mann and Anna Gabriel Mann to the show.
Thanks for being here. Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tisha.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we were in the green room just a little bit ago, and we were talking about another book that I'm reading right now. And it turns out same publishers and Laura Doyle's book, The Empowered Wife. And they know this. Like, isn't this just a small world? World.
Yeah. We share the same publisher, and the publisher is an amazing publisher partner. We've just been so thrilled in the whole process.
Oh, I love this. I love that this just like small world. We can talk about marriage and relationships today, especially coming off of Valentine's Day just this past Monday, and talk about how to have those lasting relationships. So this is not just a series or an episode to tune in. If you're not married, I think these tips that they're going to share are going to be used throughout all of your relationships, not just in marriage. So please tune into this. And again, if you have questions throughout this broadcast, make sure to ask away. But we're going to get started with our very first question. So you have in your book, you've said that the foundation to a lasting marriage or relationship is really built on your five secrets. So can you share, and I'll start with Anna. Anna, what is like your favorite secret that you share that you can share with the audience today?
Well, every secret has its opposite. And I find that in a lot of marriages for people that I coach and people that I work with directly as clients, there's a pattern that people get into, which is the scorecard. And the scorecard is the part of you that has your hands on your hips and you're keeping score. It's like you're letting your spouse know the ways they didn't do things right, the ways that they didn't measure up, the ways that they didn't keep up with the house or whatever. And so essentially you're locking yourself into a negative pattern of criticism and control. Criticism, control, they're both really, really detrimental. And the first secret is my favorite, and it's because I believe, well, first off, the secrets are all based on developmental theory. What you needed as an infant, you also need as an adult. These are all very tried and true psychological concepts. And the first one is appreciation. And who doesn't enjoy getting appreciated? Mm-hmm. But the truth is, opportunities to appreciate your spouse go by constantly, and people miss them. They don't take the opportunity. And what we're asking people to do, and what the secret is really about, is actually practicing it. Love isn't a static experience. When you first fall in love, you have that rush of romance, and that's how people want it to be forever. They think, this is it. I'm going to be just madly in love. But the truth is, it's not like that. The honeymoon ends and life goes on. People lose their jobs. People have miscarriages. Things happen. Yeah. And so if you can get out of that pattern of just being in criticism and control and start to take time every day to find ways to appreciate your spouse, that's the key. Take the time to speak it verbally and let them know how you feel.
That's amazing advice. Especially you hit on a couple of things there about like relinquishing that control and always showing gratitude. And just for you, both of you, I'm actually, you probably can't see it, but I'm wearing my thankful shirt. So it's so important to always showcase gratitude, because people they need to hear it. They need to see it. They need to see it in action and not just say, oh, they love me. They thank me. They don't.
Appreciation is really, and gratitude are really sisters. I mean, there's two sides of the same emotion or the same perspective, I guess you could say. And the thing about appreciation is that, Tisha, this is something that it's not a secret, really. It's something that
Mhm.
we all did when you're first in love. As Anna said,
Right.
you're in that first rush of romance. You're dazzled, and this other person is like this perfect paragon of amazement. He or she can do nothing wrong. Everything
Mhm.
about them, your hair, your nose, your toes, I mean, it's just incredible, right? You can't say enough good things.
Right.
Those don't stop being true. All that doesn't stop being true, but life happens as time goes by. It's not that those things fade away, it's that other things encroach. We have kids, we got jobs, we got finances, we got a house that has a hole in the roof, and then we have a pandemic on top of that, and all
Right.
these things happen that push that dazzlingness into the background. So we start kind of going automatic, and like you said, we assume that
Mhm.
our spouse knows that we love these things about them. But
Right.
honestly, like Anna said, we're all little kids inside.
Mhm.
We have that little child inside who still needs to be told every day, multiple times a day, wow, look at you. You're just
Mhm.
incredible. You're amazing. Look at you standing up on your own 2 feet. You can read that whole book by yourself. We all still need that as sophisticated adults. So we tell people, starting out, find 3 things a day that you about your spouse that you love, and then take a moment to tell them. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's not like you have to sit down and say, honey, we've got to talk. It's just fine. Take a moment to tell them authentically and simply what you love about them. And then that is, like Anna says, that pushes out criticism. The criticism, which is the opposite of appreciation. The way to get rid of that critical habit is by creating an appreciation habit.
Right. Yeah, that's a really great tip. And I just want to go ahead and say hi to some of the people that are joining us. We have some people on Facebook. So Michelle saying, great topic today. I agree, especially in the month of love. This is such a timely topic. And then we've got Red One and Diane Barry saying, thanks for the topic, Tisha. Oh, you're so welcome. I love this topic. So I'm sure we could be here till I think Jean and Anna said they have a 7 o'clock p.m. hard
Yeah.
stop.
Hey, sure.
So we may be here a while because this is such an important topic. And again, it's not just about marriage. Like I want to just preface that anybody tuning into these tips that they're sharing are for every relationship you have. It's not just
Yeah.
for a wife and a husband, but boyfriend, girlfriend. I mean, even relationships with your mother, your father, like these are so important. These tips that
Co-workers, right? Co-workers,
coworkers.
colleagues, partners in business. You bet. Absolutely.
Right. I want to put this comment up because Diane's
What
got the
Diane
memo.
said is so great.
Yes,
Yes,
she
I
says,
love
I
it.
leave my husband postcards and sometimes mail them to him. 5 wonderful words to describe him. And then the mail delivery person can read those too. So, oh, such a great thing that you've done, Diane. And it just, I've always said it's the little things that make the big difference. And I put a post up not too long ago, and I love that you two can dive into this topic with me. But you said something, John, about you can't assume. I can't assume that my husband feels this way about me without him actually saying it. People really want those words of affirmation. They want the appreciation. And I know that, I've always been that, oh, he knows exactly what I want. No. We're not mind readers here. We're not psychics. So it's really important that we come out and say, this is what would make me happy. This is what I really want in our relationship and so forth. And I remember telling my husband, I just want to sleep better at night. Like you snore, the pug snores. I really would love to sleep. That's like my big goal. And I was so pleasantly surprised when he was like, hey, I heard these breathe right strips are great. I'm going to try those for you to see if that helps. And I'm like, hallelujah. Like just that little ask did so much for our relationship in terms of just me being very forthright about, I would love this. And he answered that call. And who knew? Breathe right strips? You got my vote.
I just want to say, by the way, Diane, you're a black belt in appreciation. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big clap for
so
Diane.
good.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
absolutely,
sharing that, Diane.
In fact, when we're working with clients and when we're teaching and coaching the work, we actually ask people to start with 3 because a lot of times people are like, well, I can't even think of one. and
Ah,
they're surprised. They're like, thank you for taking out the trash. I mean, they really can't think of anything. And when we finally get them comfortable with it, we ask them to take it up to 5 times a day. So 5 times a day, find 5 separate things that you love and adore and appreciate about your spouse and tell them.
mm-hmm. Right. I love that. And it's not like if you can get people to, okay, start with 3, then go to 5, you will find, like you said, Anna, that it's not hard to say thank you for little things like taking out the trash or like cleaning up the kitchen. But you mentioned something too, John, and I want to just piggyback on this. You can't say thanks for that, but I wish you would have done it this way. You guys ever see those? I love that you did
Yeah,
the
that's
dishes, but I wish you would have piled them in separately or did it this way because that's how I would have done it.
yeah. You're stepping on the gas and on the accelerator and the brakes at the same time, and that car's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
You're appreciating. It's not going to be conditional.
And also, that's the hallmark of codependence. The minute you start telling somebody how they need to be, you're defining them as either too much or not enough. And when you start saying, it's great that you did the dishes, but, you need to put them away or you need to dry them and put them away. Well, hey, I'm not doing the dishes for you again soon. That's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. And people, people really respond when they get criticized. And the thing is I really like to point out that kind of criticism, that kind of control, if you will, is based on passive aggressive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to smile and say, thank you for doing the dishes, but next time, could you put them away?
Mm-hmm.
No.
That is a hard no. I know, and I'm just gonna express some faults here because I've done the same thing, Anna. I've said to my husband, can you please do the landscaping? Like, can you please go blow the leaves outside and tidy up the yard? And when he doesn't do it within a day or two, I'm like, landscaper, husband's lazy, come on over and do the yard. And then my husband comes home and he's like, I was gonna do this. And I'm like, but you didn't in the time frame that I was wanting it. So it's very important that we relinquish that control. And now I'm like, it's okay. The landscaping can wait. I know you're going to get to it. And he does. So but I was that person. I definitely was who you were talking about of, okay, Tisha, you got to learn some of these 5 secrets because that's what's in your marriage right now.
And to do that, to take the posture you did, didn't you have to take a mental breath and kind of go, okay, my urgent is not really that urgent.
Yeah.
I can give this to him. I can give him the space to do this in the way that he's going to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Letting go of control. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's important. And it's so freeing and liberating to be like, I don't have to worry about this because he's got this. But if I have to keep stepping in and, trying to take over, then he's just like, forget you. Hire the landscaper. You get to pay for that too. Oh, my goodness.
It is that black and white, though. I mean, I think you're describing something that I think the reason I love this example so much is that it's a small thing, but it's a significant thing if that kind of pattern is constantly there. I think that there's a lot of us that grew up with parents that gave us the message that you're doing a good job, but you could do so much better. And so it's the same hands on the hip. If I could control you, I would have done a better job than you did, even though I'm going to tell you that it was a good job. But, the message is, when are you going to stop messing up?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm going to give you another example that is similar to what you said, but on a much different scale. This is from our lives. And that is when I was a young man, I used to smoke heavily. I was a smoker. And when Anna and I were first together, we've been together for a quarter century. Mm-hmm. When we were first together, I was still smoking. And if she had said, I really need you to quit, you got to quit. I just know that would have been difficult for me, even though she was right. I mean, that would have been a correct thing to say. It would have been difficult for me because it wasn't like I was trying to stay addicted. I just was.
Right.
What she did was so magnificent. What she did was she said nothing, did nothing. And then at one point, she just let me know she'd had several relatives die of emphysema, congestive heart failure,
Yeah.
ugly, ugly things that were all like they literally like asphyxiated themselves to death, basically from smoking.
Right. Right.
And she just let me know, this was a horrible thing to watch, and I don't think I could watch this. I couldn't watch you go through this. I just want you to know I couldn't watch you go through that. And that's all she said. And it wasn't like she said, hey, you better smoke or I am out of here. She never did that.
Yeah.
She just let me know what her experience was. And I quit. I quit. It took me a while, but I reached a point where I wanted to quit, not only for her, but I wanted to quit for me. And I think the beauty of that was that she let me know what was going on for her, but she didn't try to seize control of my decisions and of my life. And it's that thing of control, of letting go, of controlling the other person, that is so powerful. It's such a gift of a gesture of generosity to let go of control and let the other person be self-determining, run their own lives.
Yeah, I agree with that so much. Yes, Anna.
And it's a gesture of differentiation and individuation, because you're saying you get to be your own person. I'm going to let you be that person. The minute you start trying to control the other person, you're squashing the intimacy, you're squashing the love. And how many marriages in America are considered sexless? And it's because things have happened, hurts have gone down, control has been a pattern for years and years and years. And slowly the pattern takes over in a way that both members of the couple start to shut down. And especially the one that's being controlled. It's like, I don't want to do anything for you, because as soon as I do, you're going to tell me I did it wrong. And I really want to mention that people are notorious for doing that in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
like to go into the bedroom, but I need you to do it this way. Excuse me?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And I wanted to say too, that whole thought of, because I know a lot of friends that give the ultimatum. We hear about the ultimatum. I mean, if we're going back to your story, John, of smoking, and I love, Anna, how you put that, because you did put it on, I want us to have this long life together. And I've seen these things happen to my own friends and family. And I don't think I can see you going through that. I don't have the heart to go through that. Instead of, if Anna said, well, if you don't smoke, I'm out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and we see that all too often in relationships. And I'm going to raising my hand again, because I've been guilty of that. If this doesn't change, I'm out of here. You can figure it out. Like I'll be honest, and I'll share this very publicly, that my husband and I were in a bad relationship just even 5 years ago, where I actually had the parent plan mapped out. You guys know the parent plan. I wrote it on my notes. You get the kids this day. I get the kids this day. This is where we change direction. And you take it. And he was like, are you kidding me with this? Like I had gone that far to think about leaving and separating and divorcing and all of that. And I knew I had a lot of things that I had to work through.
Yeah. We have a dear friend who married the bad boy in the neighborhood when she was very young, because he was the bad boy. And it was very attractive. And they had a lot of flames and a lot of fire and a lot of passion, but then they had kids and things just quickly spun out of control. And she reached a point where one day she said to her husband, okay, today we're going to make an appointment. It's either going to be with the counselor or with the lawyer. You get to decide. And so he came from a family where divorce is not a word. You stay together no matter what. Even if there's alcoholism and whatever's going on, you stay together. You don't break up. She came from a family where her mom was on her fifth marriage, so they had very different backgrounds. He said, "Oh, we'll do the counselor." So they went, and the counselor met with just her and said, "Tell me 3 things you love about your husband." And it's like Anna said, she couldn't think of one.
Yeah.
Because her head was so full of the things that she hated about her husband at that moment.
Right.
And so she did exactly the thing we were talking about. She came up with, he brings me a cup of tea in the morning. And then eventually she came up with, he's funny. The guy's a stand-up comedian, so he should be. And finally she came up with, he's great with the kids. And she got those 3 things. And the counselor sent her home and said, grow that list to 10. And she grew the list to 10 and to 15 and to 20 and to 30. And it's now 35 years later, and they're just solid as a rock, these two.
Yeah.
But what she found was, and she says, he didn't change that much, actually.
Yeah.
It was me that changed. And that's
Right.
something that Anna and I have really found in our work is when you work on a marriage, in most cases, you don't work on the marriage, you work on yourself.
Mm-hmm. You really do. You really do. I want to put this quote or this comment up from Michelle, who said, "We appreciate and express the small things on the daily." And
Yes.
it's just like what you were saying, John. Of I couldn't think of anything, and then I started to think about my day. I was like, "Oh, he does this for me, and then this
Yes.
for me," and that list starts to grow. But we're so fixated on, oh, he's just horrible and this bad guy. And it's like, but I'm sure
And he
he's
didn't do the landscaping in time. Yeah.
dang
Yeah.
that, dang it. But those are the things. But I mean, I know that Mondays, my husband is like Mr. Mom. He has Mondays off. He works 4 10s. And I love that he takes care of the kids. Like he lets me sleep in. He goes and brings the kids to school, picks them up so I can have late appointments. He makes dinner. He actually loves grocery shopping, which I'm like, have at it. You do that. And those are things that I
There's
love.
a word
Like,
for that.
hmm,
There's a word for that.
yeah.
Keeper.
Yeah. Keeper. And I'll say my husband was definitely the kind of like what you mentioned, John, like we're opposites attract. Like there's a lot of flame. Like I'm still very attracted to him this day. But sometimes, and you mentioned this, Anna, sometimes when you get into the mess of it all, it starts to kind of remove that intimacy together because all you can think about is he didn't do this, or I wanted him to do it this way and he didn't do it. So it's so important. I love this topic because it's just as what you mentioned, both of you, there really stems from working on yourself, having that self-care, bringing gratitude back into your day. And it's just like the world opens up, your head starts to open up. It's a lot more clearer that you do have a keeper. You have a keeper. You just got to work at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yes,
true.
in fact, love is, people do believe that they're going to stay in that static love of romance, but love is a practice. And that's one of the
Yeah.
key facets of our book as well. Love is a practice. Love is something that you do, not something you just feel.
Yeah. Love is a practice. That's a great quote right there. Well, I want to ask you this question too. We mentioned the Go Giver, John. You've written all of these series with Bob, the Go Giver influencer, the Go Giver sells more. So why the two of you coming together to write this book about the Go Giver marriage? Like, what was the intention behind that? And I mean, have you two ever written a book together, or is this like the first time? And do you plan to have more books together?
Hey, there was a lot of good questions in there.
I know. I
Have to
you
unpack
guys
them all.
can unpack that how you will. But okay, first question, like why the Go Giver marriage?
Sweetheart.
The Go Giver marriage, when John first wrote The Go Giver, and it went through many rejections in New York before it finally got published. And I was the first person to read The Go Giver when it came off the printer. And I am the first reader on all of John's 30 books. So I read it and I was just completely stunned. I mean, it's a beautiful book and the parable is stunning. And there's a gorgeous scene right in the middle with Joe and his wife that's just amazing. And that was kind of the seed. I could see it right there, that this is and would be an incredible book about marriage. And I said that to John right then. And so the seed was planted. We both felt the same way, that it was a book that had to come in the series. But there were contracts, the publisher wanted multiple books in a row, and they had specific titles and things to go. And obviously, when you publish a book, you want to give it 2 years to get legs and get off the ground. And so we were very conscious of that, and we wanted to be very respectful of that. And also, when the pandemic hit, and I kept saying to him, this is the time, man. People are smashed together at home, and there's a lot of tension in that. And couples who are used to having a lot of separation and a lot of space and both going to their jobs, et cetera, and the kids were all going to school, this much togetherness is causing, all the boundaries to collapse, and people are feeling incredible stress.
Right.
So the decision to write it was a long time ago, but the immediate decision came forward much later. And as well, I had been a therapist, and particularly a couples therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a real drive and desire to take the concepts of the go-giver and translate them into what I would call developmental theory, or the psychology or the underpinning of why the go-giver itself has such a strong impact. People who are givers live longer, they have healthier hearts, every cell in their body is affected. They have less depression. I mean, there's a huge body of research that says this is the difference that being a giver makes. Do you want that difference? And in a marriage, it's like the magic bullet. And I am not kidding. It's like when you become somebody who puts your partner's interests ahead of your own and who gives without expectation of receiving, you change the dynamic of the marriage completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to add to that picture of how the book came to be. That there's this theoretical underpinning that Anna has from her background, and there was the go-giver, the basic principle of putting other people's interests in your front sight focus, the Pindar principle we call it. The more you give, the more you have. You end up with a richer life. So all that was there, but there was also this other thing, which was that for years people have been asking us things like, "What's your guys' secret sauce?" It's like, how come you guys are act like newlyweds? When you've been together for a while now, and the writer Joan Didion once said, "I write to find out what I think," and I love that, because sometimes I think that when you're actually teaching or writing or in some way communicating to other people is when you sort of articulate for yourself what it is that really what your experience tells you that you didn't even quite know before.
Mm-hmm.
And so over all those years, I was sort of going through this process of I adore this woman. I just adore her. But why is that? What are the ingredients of that? How does that work? What is this secret sauce that these people are talking about? And so in many ways, this book is our articulation of what we've found ourselves in our marriage and in other marriages that we've observed that are enduring, that are rich and long lasting. So it is, I like to say it's our love letter to the world. It's also kind of our love letter to each other.
To each other.
The book is in two halves. The first half is called the parable, it's the story, and the second half is called the practice, and it's an explanation of how to apply these principles in your life. I wrote the first half and Anna wrote the second half. So it's kind of our dialogue on the same ideas, those same 5 secrets from 2 different perspectives.
Oh, I love it. Very good. All right. I have a couple of comments that came in here.
Yeah, so great ones too. The flowers.
Yeah, let's bring Diane Berry back from LinkedIn. She said, I received flowers last week because my husband was grumpy to me while he was sick during a week and I was hovering. How many of us hovering over him, trying to take care of him? He let me know that I didn't need to hover so much and let him have some space when he is sick. Keep the conversation open. Oh my gosh. I mean, I would say that the biggest problem that I see in marriages is, like you said, it's that throw away the scorecard. It's the other thing of, I need to be right. You can never be right. So there's a lot of tension in that. And then there's just good old fashioned no communication where I assume or I know what you want. And so those are some of the things that I see. And then this gentleman, Kelvin Aponte, joining us off of Facebook. He and I actually went to high school together. So good to see you, Kelvin. Saying, keep up the good work. Yeah, keep up the good work. So I want to commend you two, because it is hard working with a spouse, I would say, but you two have such a loving relationship and marriage. I see that. It's so evident. And thank you for writing this love letter to the world and this love letter to each other of how you make a marriage last and how you keep up the love and how you keep that honeymoon phase going. I think it's so important to have that.
The hover thing is really cool. The hover thing is really interesting to take apart a little bit, because when I'm hovering over Anna, let's say I'm hovering over you, is it because you need my attention, or is it because it's making me feel good? It's like what I need, right?
Right.
And often what happens is we act out of what we need without stopping for a moment to think and just look and listen and say, well, what does this person actually need right now? Sometimes what our spouse needs is our attention. Sometimes what they need is some space. Sometimes what they need is some support. So they just need a listening ear. How do you know whether they need more attention or more space? Well, you have to pay attention. You just have to pay attention. We call it the treasure map. You know, look, you're mapping your spouse, just investigating and learning more about them. Listen.
Yeah.
And also hovering can be about anxiety. It's like you're hovering because that part of you that still wants to stay in control of everything is having a hard time letting go.
Right.
And, you know, an individuated adult man who has a fever and is sick can let you know that he needs some more ginger ale.
Yeah.
Really?
Right. Well,
I love it.
You know, I want to bring something up. I mean, I even know, like in Laura's book, she said people can take care of themselves. You don't have to be the mother. You don't always have to be that. Like just in Diane's story, she's like, my husband's telling me, just stop. I can do this. Like, I know I'm sick. I will take care of myself. If I need you, I will ask for something. But we tend to get into that mother mode of, I'll take care of you. I'll do it all. And then we become so overwhelmed. And then we want to tell everybody about it. Like, it's just this constant thing.
And when Laura endorsed our book, we went back and forth on email, and I was making her howl and she was making me howl because we were comparing notes on how, and forgive me, all the women that are listening, but we were comparing notes about how women want to control the world. And, you know, I mean, that's why she calls it the empowered wife, because it's about dropping the control. It's about letting your husband breathe. Hello. And and so we were just howling back and forth on email, and she loves our book because it meets those concepts.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So the book is officially dropping March 8th.
Yes.
And okay, good. And I do have a link up here. If you, viewers of the show would like to go check it out, it's at the gogivermarriage.com. John, anything else you would like to add about the book and just about this experience working with Anna?
You know, I'll just say that I think that in the process of writing the book, we discovered the sixth secret to lasting love. Actually, and that is, in all seriousness, one of the principles of the book is to grow, is to grow your own life, is to feed yourself. Be generous with your spouse, but also be generous with yourself. Anna talked about individuation and being two separate people, is to take care of your own life and keep growing. One of the things I think we learned, this is something brand new for us, not just writing a book together. This is our first book together, but also being on shows like this podcast tour and radio tour. Like, this is all new for us. We've never done it together. Doing something new together is a fabulous way to learn more about each other and experience more of life as a couple, which is often a really beneficial thing for people who've been together for quite a while.
Absolutely.
It is.
And there's one other thing I would love people to know, and that is that on gogivermarriage.com, if you pre-order the book, there are many gifts from us. We created 2 master classes. We have a fireside chat coming up 2 weeks after the book launches on the 23rd of March that is going to be hosted by Dan Rockwell of Leadership Freak. Very amazing guy. And so there's gifts there if people do want to pre-order and check it out. So thank you so much for having us.
Oh, thank you so much for being on. And thanks to everybody who got to tune in live with us and share their comments. That was amazing. Always such a pleasure having you on. And John, I love, we hit it off. We talked about his other book, Steal Fear.
Yeah.
It came out in July. And I mean, you were just busy bee, always writing something.
Sequel to Steal Fear is coming out in June.
Oh my goodness, there you go. The sequel already coming out. Like, you just released this.
I know.
Oh, I love it. So the Go Giver, so like you, Anna, I was hooked from the start. I was actually at a Bible study, and a woman was hearing me talk about how I was giving a startup business grant to another entrepreneur. And she's like, oh my goodness, if you haven't read the Go Giver, I'm going to give it to you so you can read it. And within a day, I was done. And I talk so much about just purposeful networking and business and so forth. And that the Go Giver book just is in such alignment with just how I live my life. And you said it, John. You said that, the Go Giver is really more about your intention and your giving without this expectation. Because I know a lot of people, well, if I give you this, it has to come right back to me. But instead, just being open to receiving and saying, you know what, I'm doing this because this is how I live my life.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
who I am.
This is going to come back to me in some way. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be in a year from now, but it's going to come back. But it makes me happy to be that kind of person and to always be of this giving nature. And so I just want to say thank you to all of you for writing such an amazing series. I talk about it nonstop.
Thank you.
And then to have Tisha Talks and, Bob, I was just like, oh my goodness, like to have both of you on and to call you friends has just been such a joy. So I just want to say thank you before I burst out into tears. Thank you for being on. I love this that you two wrote this together and that you're helping so many marriages and relationships stay together just through some simple principles that we need to learn. Not all is lost. It's about getting back to center and working through things together.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, so I want to give you the floor. We have Go Giver Marriage up on the screen, but how can people find you if they'd like to connect with you, John and Anna? Like, what's the best place for them?
I mean, there's the site for sure,
Yeah.
but we're also on social media. And sweetheart, go ahead. Social media addresses?
First of all, I have to say, I love that you call her sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. She's my sweetheart. What can I say?
It's mutual. We both do. Anna Gabriel Mann is my handle on Instagram and certainly on Facebook. And John is on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter as well, and so is John. And he is John David Mann on Instagram and in all other platforms. So you can find us there. And also we have workshops that we do, virtual workshops that are Zoom workshops that we carry on every month that take a deep dive into the 5 secrets and that give participants a lot of time to ask questions and to really get into the material. So those are Zoom events and they can sign up for them on our website.
Oh, that's perfect. And would they just go to Go Giver Marriage, Anna, or where would they go to find those workshops?
There's a page called Programs on that site.
Oh, okay. So there you have it. Go to gogivermarriage.com to find out more about the workshops and how to connect with these sweethearts. And thanks again for being on. Next week, Tisha Talks Live is back with Sparkle Lindsay. She's going to be talking about how to become one with your feelings. So I'm excited. I love that, we're talking about working on ourselves, and this is just a continuation of that. And I just want to say thanks again for being on with me today. And I look forward to the book. Can't wait to spread it. I was even saying with Laura's book that I really just want to have those in my purse. Like I want to buy them in bulk. Same thing with Go Giver Marriage. As I come across people that I know they're having some tension in their marriage, just say a gift. Take it, read it, apply it. It is going to save you so much.
It's also a great wedding gift. And a lot of people are doing that. They're ordering many copies so they can give them to people for engagement gifts and wedding gifts.
Right. I mean, I had a coffee date earlier with a friend, and he was telling me about his marriages and how the wife's like, I just don't know if I want to be married. I'm giving up on this. And he's like, I think had we worked on things together, we would have been able to stay together and work through things, but this isn't like an old pair of jeans where it's just, I'm worn out of this. I'm done. I'm just tossing it. Like this is marriage.
It's not just an obligation or a responsibility. It's an opportunity. I mean, there's so much richness that's available when you go through it and you actually go deep into it, because I believe that the other person is an opportunity for you to become your best self. I know that I am a different person than I would have been, and a bigger person than I could have possibly been if I hadn't known Anna. And if we had like split up 20 years ago, I would have lost out on so much in my own life, let alone our lives together. So, don't throw away those jeans so casually.
I know. And so tell me, John and Anna, like what year is this for you? You're celebrating what anniversary?
Well, we were together for a decade before we actually got married.
Okay.
So 25 years together, but our actual married years is coming up on, well, we're coming up on 14.
Oh, yay. Congratulations. Ah, love it. Love a good love story. All right. Well, thank you so much again for joining me. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. And I know I'll be in touch with you soon. And yes, March 8th, the book drops. So make sure you go to gogivermarriage.com to grab that and pre-order, along with those special gifts that John and Anna have mentioned. And we will see you guys next time on Tisha Talks Live at 10:45. We'll see ya. Thanks again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.